The streets are empty now. You stand in the heart of London, where millions rush past each day, consumed by modern life. The underground rumbles beneath your feet. Car horns echo off ancient buildings. The city pulses with energy, with commerce, with that particular chaos that makes London. London. But the stones remember. The foundations remember. And if you listen closely, past the noise of the living, you can almost hear it. The silence that came in 1665. The silence of a city dying. The silence broken only by the rumble of death carts and the cry that haunted every street, every alley, every dark corner of this place. Bring out your dead. Close your eyes. When you open them, the noise shatters into a different kind of chaos. The year is 1665. June. Summer is coming, and with it, something else. Something that will kill 100,000 people in 18 months. Something that will turn the greatest city in England into a graveyard. You're standing on Drury Lane. The street is narrow, suffocating, lined with timber-framed buildings that lean toward each other like drunks sharing secrets. The smell hits you first. It always does in London. Human waste, animal dung, rotting food, the acrid smoke from coal fires, the sickly sweet stench of the tanneries. 600,000 people crammed into 1 square mile. No sewers, no running water, no concept of sanitation that would make sense to anyone from your time. This is normal. This is London. This is home. You're a wig maker? Thomas Allen, 32 years old. You have a shop on this street, a decent living, a wife named Margaret, 2 children. Elizabeth, age 8, and William, age 5. You make wigs for merchants, lawyers, the occasional minor noble who wanders into your shop. The wealthy wear wigs now. Fashion, status, you're good at your work. Good enough to keep your family fed, housed, clothed. Good enough to believe you're safe. You're not safe. No one is safe. The plague has been in London before? 1625, 1636. It comes, it kills, it leaves. A fact of life like taxes or rain. But this time is different. This time, it's brought something with it. A virulence, an appetite. This plague doesn't just kill, it devours. It started in the parish of St. Giles in the Fields, the poor district. The slums where people live tend to a room in conditions that would make animals refuse shelter. A woman died in April, then her family, then her neighbors. The bills of mortality, the weekly death counts, started climbing, slowly at first, then faster. But St. Giles is far from Drury Lane. The plague is a disease of the poor, everyone says. It lives in filth, in overcrowding, in sin. Keep your house clean. Pray to God, you'll be fine. You believe this because you have to, because the alternative is terror. June turns to July. The heat builds. London summers are brutal. The sun reflecting off cobblestones. The air thick and still. No breeze to clear the stench. The city bakes. And in the heat, the plague spreads. You start seeing the marks. Red crosses painted on doors. A foot tall, unmistakable. Above them, the words painted in crude letters. Lord, have mercy upon us. The mark means plague. The mark means the house is sealed. Everyone inside, sick or healthy, locked in for 40 days, condemned to die together or survive together. No exceptions. There's one on a door 3 houses down from yours. The carpenter's house. You've known him for years. Bought wood from him for your work. He has 6 children. Had 6 children. Now his door's marked, and a watchman sits outside, paid by the parish to make sure no one leaves, to make sure the plague stays contained. You hear them at night. The family, crying, begging. One of the children screaming for hours before falling silent. You lie in bed next to Margaret, listening, trying not to imagine what's happening behind that door. trying not to think about the same mark appearing on your own door. The death carts start running nightly. You hear them before you see them. The heavy wooden wheels on cobblestones, the weary footsteps of the men who push them. Then, the bell. A handbell, rung slowly, rhythmically, and the cry, "Bring out your dead." The first time you hear it, you look out your window. The cart is piled with bodies, naked, tangled together. Men, women, children. There's no dignity in the cart, no careful arrangement. Just corpses thrown on top of corpses, arms and legs at impossible angles, faces frozen in the agony of their final moments. The cart stops at the carpenter's house. The watchman unlocks the door. 2 men go inside. They come out carrying a small body, a child, maybe 7 years old. They throw, and that's the word, they throw the body onto the cart. It lands with a sound you'll never forget. Soft, heavy, final. The cart moves on. The bell rings. Bring out your dead. You close the shutters. Try to sleep. Can't. The sound of that bell echoes in your mind long after the cart has passed. August. The heat is merciless. The plague is everywhere now. No longer confined to St. Giles. It's jumped the boundaries, spread through the parishes like fire through dry timber. The bills of mortality are staggering. 2,000 dead in a week. Then 3,000. Then 4. Your neighbor to the left dies. The mark appears on his door. His wife follows 2 days later. Their house sits empty now, door still marked, waiting for someone brave or desperate enough to go inside and strip it of anything valuable. The city is emptying. Anyone who can leave is leaving. The king and his court fled to Oxford in July. The wealthy followed. The merchants, the lawyers, the doctors. They're gone, rattling away in carriages piled high with possessions, heading for country estates where the air is clean and the plague can't follow. You can't leave. You don't have the money. Don't have anywhere to go. Your family is in London. Your work is in London. Your entire life is contained within these narrow streets and timber buildings. So you stay. You lock your doors, you pray, you try to keep working. But the work is dying too. No one wants wigs anymore. No one's thinking about fashion when bodies are piling up in the streets. Your shop sits empty day after day. The money you've saved is running out. Soon, you'll have to choose between food and rent. Margaret is terrified. She keeps the children inside constantly. Won't let them near the windows. Won't let them play. Elizabeth asks why. You don't have an answer that won't terrify her more. So you lie. Say it's a game. Say they're hiding from dragons. She's 8. She knows you're lying. But she plays along because what else can a child do? William develops a cough. It's nothing. Just a summer cold. But your heart stops every time you hear it. Margaret's eyes meet yours across the room, and you see your own fear reflected back. The cough means nothing. The cough means everything. The cough could be the first sign. You check him obsessively. Feel his forehead for fever. Examine his neck, his armpits, his groin for swellings. The buboes. That's what they call the swellings. Egg-sized lumps that appear in the lymph nodes, black and oozing. If you find a bubo, you're dead. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but soon, very soon. William's neck is clear. No swellings, no fever, just a cough. You convince yourself it's nothing. You have to believe it's nothing. The cough goes away after 3 days. You breathe again. September. 7,000 dead in 1 week, the largest death toll yet. The city is a ghost town. Grass grows in the streets. Shops are boarded up. Churches are empty because the clergy fled with everyone else. The only people left are those who have no choice. The poor, the trapped, the condemned. You venture out for food. The markets are still operating, barely. Farmers from outside the city bring vegetables, bread, meat. They won't enter London, won't risk the plague. Instead, they leave goods at the city gates. You leave coins in a bowl of vinegar. The vinegar supposedly kills the plague, cleanses the money. The farmers take the coins with tongs, never touching them directly. Then they leave. Fast. The streets are dangerous now. Not from plague, from people. Desperation does things to humanity. You see looters breaking into marked houses, stealing what they can before the plague takes them too. You see a man beaten to death over a loaf of bread. You see a woman selling her body for coins that might buy her children one more day of food. You see the searchers, women paid by the parish to examine the dead, determine cause of death. They're wrapped in cloaks, faces covered, carrying staffs to keep people away. Everyone fears them. They've seen too much death, touched too many corpses. They carry the plague with them, or so people believe. A searcher stops you on the street, points her staff at you. Have you any sick in your house? Her voice is muffled through the cloth covering her face. Her eyes are dead. She's seen hundreds die, maybe thousands. She doesn't care about your answer. She's just doing her job. No, you say. No sick. All well. She stares at you for a long moment, then moves on. You realize you're shaking. You return home, lock the door, barricade it. The city outside is collapsing, but inside these walls, you're still safe, still healthy, still alive. That night, Margaret wakes you, her hand on your shoulder, shaking, urgent. Thomas, wake up. You wake. What is it? She's crying. Elizabeth, she has a fever. Your blood turns to ice. You go to your daughter's room. She's lying in bed, face flushed, breathing fast and shallow. You touch her forehead. She's burning. You pull back the covers, check her neck, her armpits, her groin, searching for the sign you've dreaded, the bubo that means death. There, under her left arm, a swelling. Small, the size of a walnut, but growing. No. Margaret is behind you. She sees it too. She makes a sound. Not quite a scream, not quite a sob. Something animal, something primal. The sound of a mother realizing her child is dying. Elizabeth opens her eyes. Mama? Her voice is small, confused. I don't feel well. Margaret sits beside her, strokes her hair. You'll be fine, my darling. Just a little fever. You'll be fine. She's lying. You're both lying. Elizabeth has the plague, and the plague kills almost everyone it touches. You should report it. By law, you're required to notify the parish. They'll come, examine Elizabeth, paint the cross on your door, lock you all inside. 40 days. With the plague, watching your daughter die, maybe watching your whole family die one by one in this house that's supposed to be your sanctuary. You don't report it. You can't. If they seal the house, you're all dead. If you stay free, maybe you can save her. Maybe you can find a doctor. Maybe there's a chance. There isn't a chance? You know this, but hope is a stubborn thing. You go out before dawn. The streets are dark, empty except for the death carts and the watchmen guarding sealed houses. You're looking for a doctor. Any doctor. Someone who might help. You find one still in the city. Dr. Hodges? He's one of the few who stayed, treating the sick even though it means probable death. His house is marked with a sign, physician. You knock on his door, pound on it, desperate. He opens it. He's maybe 50, gray-haired, exhausted. His face tells you he's seen too much, done too much, lost too many. My daughter, you say. She has the plague. Please. I'll pay anything. He looks at you with something like pity. I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do. Please. She's 8 years old. Please. He sighs. What remedies does he have? Theriac, a mixture of dozens of ingredients that does nothing. Bleeding, cutting the patient to release bad humors, which only weakens them further, lancing the buboes, cutting open the swellings to drain the pus, which is agonizing and rarely helps. He'll come, he tells you this, but he wants payment first. You give him everything you have, every coin, every piece of silver in your house. He pockets it without emotion, then follows you home. Elizabeth is worse. The fever has climbed. The bubo under her arm has swollen to the size of an egg, black and angry. She's delirious, calling for people who aren't there, seeing things that don't exist. Dr. Hodges examines her briefly. Then he takes out a knife. What are you doing? Margaret grabs his arm, lancing the bubo. It's the only chance he's lying. There is no chance, but he does it anyway. Cuts into the swelling. Elizabeth screams. The sound is inhuman, pure agony, and it goes on and on while he drains the bubo, black pus and blood flowing onto the sheets. Finally, it's done. He bandages the wound, gives you Theriac to feed her, tells you to pray. Then he leaves, just walks out, moves on to the next dying person, the next hopeless case. Elizabeth dies 2 days later. The fever never breaks. The bubo never heals. She just stops breathing, stops moving, stops being your daughter and becomes a body. A corpse, a thing that needs to be disposed of before it spreads the plague further. You should call for the death cart, should have her taken to the plague pits at Aldgate or Finsbury Fields, where thousands are buried in mass graves, lime-covered, unmarked, anonymous. You can't do it. Can't throw your daughter onto a cart like garbage. So you wrap her in a sheet, carry her yourself through the dark streets to the nearest churchyard, dig a grave with your bare hands in soil that's already full of bodies, bury her in the darkness, say a prayer you're not sure you believe anymore. Then you go home. To your wife who's catatonic with grief. To your son who doesn't understand why his sister won't wake up. To your house that's now infected, contaminated, marked by death even if there's no cross on the door yet. William gets sick 3 days later. The same fever, the same bubo, larger this time, in his groin. He's 5 years old, doesn't understand what's happening, just knows he hurts, knows he's scared, knows his mother is crying, and his father looks like he wants to die. There's no doctor this time. You spent everything on Elizabeth, and it didn't matter. The doctor couldn't save her, can't save William, can't save anyone. William dies faster than Elizabeth, 2 days from first symptom to last breath. Margaret gets sick the next day. Of course she does. She's been caring for the children, touching them, breathing the same air. The plague is in your house now, in the bedding, in the walls, in the very air you breathe. Her bubo appears on her neck, visible, grotesque. She doesn't fight it, doesn't ask for help, just lies in bed and waits to die. You think she wants to die, wants to be with the children? What's the point of surviving if everyone you love is gone? You care for her, feed her water, wipe the fever sweat from her face, hold her hand. She doesn't speak, doesn't really see you. The plague has taken her mind along with her body. She dies on the 4th day, quietly. No final words, no goodbye, just a last breath that doesn't lead to another. Revised Section 1, he thus collapse. You sit beside her corpse for hours, waiting to feel something. Grief, anger, relief, anything. You feel nothing? You're empty, hollowed out. Your entire family is dead. Wife, daughter, son, gone in less than 2 weeks. And you're still here, still breathing, still alive. You wrap Margaret in a sheet, then you wait for nightfall? Not because you're hiding, not because you fear the watchmen or the searchers or the law, but because the darkness feels appropriate. The darkness matches what's inside you. When you finally carry her body into the street, you understand how completely the city has collapsed. There are no watchmen anymore. The posts outside sealed houses stand empty. The men who were paid to guard them are dead or fled. No one enforces the quarantine anymore. No one paints crosses on doors. No one cares. The death carts still run, but irregularly now. Sometimes they don't come for days. Bodies pile up in the streets, rotting in the September heat. No one collects them. No one has the strength or the will or the living personnel to maintain even the basic machinery of disposal. You pass 3 corpses on your way to the churchyard, just lying there. One is a child, naked, already bloating. Another is an old woman, half covered by a blanket someone tried to give her dignity with. The third is unrecognizable, too far gone. No one stops you. No one even sees you. The few people still alive stay inside, behind locked doors, waiting for death or salvation, whichever comes first. Drury Lane is a cemetery that hasn't been officially declared one yet. You're a ghost, walking through a city of ghosts, carrying another ghost to her final rest. You bury Margaret next to William and Elizabeth. 3 graves now, side by side. Your entire world reduced to 3 mounds of earth in a forgotten corner of a churchyard that's run out of space. You have to dig in ground that already holds bodies. Your spade hits something soft. You don't look. Just move over a few feet. Try again. When it's done, you stand there in the darkness, waiting for tears that don't come, waiting for some kind of feeling that might tell you you're still human. Nothing comes. You're as dead as they are. You just haven't stopped breathing yet. End revised section 1. Why? Why are you alive when they're dead? You've been exposed more than anyone. Touched their bodies, breathed their air, shared their space. You should have the plague, should be dying too, but you feel fine. No fever, no buboes, no symptoms at all. Some people are immune. You don't know why. No one knows why. Maybe you had a mild case as a child, built immunity. Maybe your body is just different. Maybe God has plans for you, though you can't imagine what those plans could be. You return to your empty house, sit in the silence, the terrible, complete silence of a home that used to have laughter, arguments, the chaos of children. Now it's just you, alone, with the plague-stained bedding and the toys William will never play with again, and the dress Elizabeth was going to wear when she got better. You should burn it all. Should burn the house. Should burn yourself. Start over. Or just end it. But you don't. You survive, because that's what humans do. Even when there's no reason, even when survival feels like punishment. You keep breathing, keep moving, keep existing. October. The plague is finally slowing. The cold weather is coming. The plague doesn't like cold. The death toll drops, 6,000 a week, then 4,000, then 2. The city starts to breathe again. The wealthy return. The king comes back. The markets reopen. Church bells ring again. Life slowly, impossibly, resumes. You reopen your shop. Start making wigs again. Merchants come in, place orders, talk about the plague like it was an inconvenience, a bad season, a temporary setback. They don't ask about your family. Don't notice you're hollow-eyed and silent. They just want their wigs. You make the wigs, take their money, survive. November, December. The plague is over. 100,000 dead. Nearly a quarter of London's population. Gone. The bills of mortality return to normal numbers. The death carts stop running. The red crosses are scrubbed from doors. The city celebrates. Thanksgiving services? Feasts. The plague is over. London survived. Life goes on. You don't celebrate. You go through the motions. Wake up, work, eat, sleep, repeat. You're alive, but you're not living. You're just a ghost moving through the world, going through the routines because you don't know what else to do. Revised Section 2, The Living Death. The years that follow aren't really years. They're just time passing. Days bleeding into months, bleeding into seasons that mean nothing. You exist, but you don't live. You stopped living the night you buried Margaret. The shop remains open because what else would you do? The customers return, more of them now that the plague is over and London is rebuilding. They want wigs. They want normalcy. They want to forget the year when a quarter of the city died. So you make them wigs. Perfect wigs. Your hands still remember the craft even though your mind is somewhere else. Somewhere dark. Somewhere that smells like plague rot and fresh-turned earth. Some days you forget to eat, not because you're not hungry, but because hunger is just another sensation you've learned to ignore. Like loneliness, like grief, like the crushing weight of being the only one who survived. You never remarry. People suggest it. A young widow, they say. Someone to give. You children? Someone to fill the empty house. You smile politely and change the subject. How could you remarry? How could you bring another wife, another child into a world that kills them? How could you love again when love means 3 graves in a churchyard? The Great Fire comes in 1666, burns half the city. You watch from your shop as the flames consume everything. Part of you wants the fire to reach Drury Lane, wants it to burn your shop, your house, your memories. Burn the bedding Elizabeth died in. Burn the toy soldiers William played with. Burn the chair Margaret sat in while sewing. Burn it all until there's nothing left but ash. The fire stops 2 streets away. You're spared. Again? Always spared. Always the survivor. Always the one left behind. London rebuilds. Bigger buildings. Wider streets. Brick instead of timber. The new city rises from the ashes of the old, and everyone calls it progress. They say the fire was a blessing, killed the last of the plague, cleaned the city, made it better. You say nothing, just make wigs, just exist. The seasons turn, years accumulate like dust. You grow older, grayer, more silent. Customers stop trying to make conversation. They sense something in you. Something broken, something that makes them uncomfortable. They place their orders, pay, leave quickly. That's fine. You prefer the silence anyway. Sometimes you visit the churchyard, stand at the 3 graves that are now barely visible, grown over with weeds and time. You don't pray, don't cry, just stand there, the only witness to 3 lives that mattered to no one but you. Elizabeth, who loved to sing. William, who collected stones. Margaret, who insisted on the frescoes. They're forgotten by everyone except you. And when you die, they'll be forgotten completely. Their graves will disappear. Their names will vanish. They'll become statistics in the bills of mortality. 3 of 100,000. Anonymous. Erased. The thought should horrify you. It doesn't. You're too empty for horror. The plague comes back sometimes. Small outbreaks. 1679, 1681. People panic. You don't. You've already lost everything the plague can take. It holds no fear for you anymore. Sometimes you almost wish it would come for you. Finish what it started. Put an end to this half-life you're living, but it doesn't. You remain healthy, strong, immune, cursed with survival. 1689. You're 56 years old. You've outlived your wife by 24 years, your children by even longer. You've made thousands of wigs, served thousands of customers, gone through the motions of living for a quarter century. And you're so tired, not sick, not injured, just tired. Tired of waking up, tired of the empty house, tired of being the ghost of Thomas Allen, the wig maker who survived the plague by losing everything that made survival worthwhile. You closed the shop early one afternoon in November, the same month the plague ended all those years ago. You walk home through streets that are completely different now. New buildings, new people, A new city built on top of the mass graves of the old one. You sit in your chair, the same chair you've sat in for 24 years. Your body just stops. No pain, no struggle, no dramatic final moment. Your heart simply decides it's done. Done beating. Done pumping blood through a body that's been hollow since 1665. They find you 3 days later when you don't open the shop. The neighbors break in. You're in your chair, still sitting upright, as if you just fell asleep. Peaceful, they say at the burial. He looks peaceful. They're wrong. There's nothing peaceful about it. You died in 1665 with your family. The thing that stopped breathing in 1689 was just a shell, a ghost that forgot it was supposed to be dead. They bury you in the same churchyard. Different section. The church doesn't keep good records of the plague burials anymore. No one knows where Elizabeth, William, and Margaret are buried. No one thinks to ask. So you lie there, separated from them even in death. The survivor? Always the survivor. Always alone. The plague took everything from you. Not just your family. Your capacity for joy, for connection, for life itself. It left you breathing but dead, walking but buried, existing but erased. And maybe that was crueler than just killing you outright. End revised section 2. Close your eyes now. When you open them, you're back, standing in modern London. The noise returns, the traffic, the crowds, the life. The plague is gone, conquered by antibiotics, sanitation, medical knowledge. The Black Death that killed millions across centuries is now treatable with a pill. A week of medicine and you're cured. But the stones remember. The foundations remember. Under the modern buildings, under the concrete and asphalt, lie the plague pits. Thousands of bodies still there, still buried in mass graves that were never moved. You stand on top of them, live on top of them, build on top of them, the city that rose from death. And now you know. You know what it sounded like, the death carts, the crying behind sealed doors, the silence of empty streets in a city that should be full of life. You know what it felt like, to watch your family die one by one, to bury your children with your own hands, to survive when everyone you loved didn't, to keep breathing for 24 years after your heart stopped beating. You know what the plague meant. Not just statistics, not just numbers in a history book, but individuals, families, lives destroyed in days, futures erased, survivors left to haunt their own existence. The plague is history now, but it was real. It happened here, on these streets, in these buildings, to people like you. And for one day, you were there. You felt it. You lived it. And then you lived long after life lost all meaning. The city survived. You survived. But nothing was ever the same again. The stones remember. The earth remembers. The silence remembers. The 3 graves remember, even though no one knows where they are anymore. And now, so do you. You know what it means to be the last one standing, the one who has to keep going when there's no reason left to go. You know what it means to be dead while still breathing. And you know that sometimes survival is the cruelest punishment of all.